Now, let's turn our attention to external evidence, or evidence outside of the Bible, that will help us determine the education and the literacy level of Jesus. The first question to ask is, how was the Jewish education system in Jesus' time? This is the question that we will try to answer now, and through this we will be able to form a picture regarding the mode and method by which Jesus received basic education and his ability to read and write. To provide a clearer picture on the nature of education during Jesus' time, we will examine the rabbinic texts between the 1st and 5th century AD, which the scholar Shmuel Safrei inspected and sheds light on the Jewish education system in the 1st century and perhaps a little earlier. In that system, the child was educated at the city school, where he learned to read the Hebrew scriptures, and the school was called Beit HaSefer, or the House of the Book. Such schools existed in the cities of Palestine, even the small ones, where the child began to learn the scriptures from the age of 5, and at the age of 10 began to learn the Mishnah, also known as the Oral Torah, which is the first major written collection known for the Jewish oral traditions. The child completes their basic education at the age of 11 or 12. The schools were a building or a room attached to the Jewish synagogue, and in small towns, the school was in the backyard of the teacher's home. The Talmud instructs that the teacher should be financially supported so that the poor children would not be deprived of education in such school systems. What makes this scene more evident is what was mentioned in the Gospels regarding Jesus' strong education in the Halaqa and the Jewish law. The Halaqa was a collective body of Jewish religious laws derived from the written and oral Torah. The Halaqa is based on biblical commandments, subsequent Talmudic and rabbinic law, and the customs and traditions compiled in the many books. Because Jesus was the firstborn amongst his family relatives, he was expected to learn the law, besides learning his father's occupation. This education took place in the Synagogue of Nazareth, where primary religious instruction took place. This helps explain why, when Jesus was handed the book of Isaiah to read, the people asked, "Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary and brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon? Are not his sisters here with us?" In summary, and as we saw from the internal biblical evidence, the Gospels do not delve deeply into Jesus' literacy, since the Gospels are not merely historical accounts. How competent was Jesus in reading and writing? Was he as educated as the scribes and Pharisees? The Gospels do not provide us with enough evidence to make any conclusive answers. However, we have ample implicit evidence that Jesus knew Hebrew and Aramaic, along with his knowledge of the law and books, as mentioned in John chapter 7 verse 15, and even what was mentioned in Luke chapter 4 verses 16 to 30. Finally, we know Jesus learned to read and write as a child at the Synagogue of Nazareth, where he was raised. Although Jesus came from a rural and poor background, he was not a simple or an illiterate Galilean villager.